Hi Elvis fans, Tom Brown here, coming to you from inside Elvis Presley's Memphis on Elvis Presley Boulevard, just across the street from the Graceland Mansion. We have another episode of Gates of Graceland, and we're going to talk about an aspect of Elvis's life that a lot of people know a little bit about, but I have someone that knows a lot about it, and that is Elvis's charitable giving. I mean, the things that he did even from childhood for other people are legendary. And here to tell us more about that and to show us some of the evidence of that is Angie Marchese, Vice President of Archives and Exhibits here at Graceland.
Hi, Tom.
Great to come back to another episode of Gates of Graceland, and I know the fans always, I see the comments that you leave, and you always want her job. She's not leaving.
I'm not
ever,
leaving. No,
ever.
Not going anywhere.
You have a great, as you come in the complex here, when we see the gold records, just past the gold records, and just, I can see the gold lame suit right there, just past that, you have a neat little display back here of Elvis and charity, and on the wall we see a lot of checks and we see a lot of things in the cases, but first of all, tell us about Elvis's, how he felt about giving.
You know, Elvis was a giver at heart. It's even said that when he was a little boy in Tupelo and had nothing to give, that he would actually try to give the few toys he had to other people who didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So it really was just part of his DNA of who he was. And of course, as he got older and became who he became and money became no object basically, his giving got bigger. It went from small toys to donations through checks to even giving, obviously we know about the famous car giveaways that he used to give to all his friends, you know. But Elvis was generally a very charitable person, inside and out. Yeah.
Jerry Schilling told me one time, one of Elvis's Memphis Mafia, one of his best friends, went to the White House with Elvis. Jerry told me that when you have anything, when you can get anything, the pleasure that you get is the look on the faces of other people that you then give to, the people that can't have anything, and that's where Elvis's joy came from, was the reaction of the other people when unsolicited he gave them a gift.
Well, that's kind of like Jerry was firsthand experience to that when they were flying back from LA to Washington for the Nixon visit, and Elvis befriends a soldier on the plane that's coming home from Vietnam and tells Jerry, how much cash do you have on you? Give it to him. And Jerry's like, this is all the money we have. And Elvis is like, he needs it more.
Yeah.
You know, that just kind of sums it up. And you know, they say that if you would have complimented Elvis on something, that even if it was the shirt on his back, he might have taken it off and given it to you at the time.
Yeah, but what they said, you know, whatever you do, don't tell him you like his rings, because he'll
just start giving them.
He'll start giving them to you. And Jerry, in one of the ultimate gifts that Elvis gave, Jerry had come from, you know, a not great family background, and Elvis wanted to give him a home. Elvis gave him the keys to the home that Jerry still lives in. So what an ultimate, you know, gift that was to a friend.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things that I love about what you have here is things are always changing and evolving at Elvis Presley's Memphis. You have some display cases over here that have some very neat material in, so let's walk over and see what we've got here.
Well, it made sense when we started talking about Elvis and charity that we put the exhibition here kind of at the end of the 1956 corridor, because his charitable work really started getting like publicity. I mean, he did the ads for the American Cancer Society and had the March of Dimes here to Graceland. So this kind of seemed like a really appropriate place to discuss Elvis and giving. Some of the things that we have here in this first case include a newspaper clipping from Elvis donating blood. We've got, as we know, you've seen the large charity plaque in the trophy building.
Yes.
So Elvis started giving $1,000 to 50 local charities every year at Christmas time. He started back in the 50s. This is the list from 1961 of the charities that received those donations. Now you can see they varied. They weren't all $1,000.
Yeah.
But the total came to around $36,000 Elvis gave away that Christmas.
Okay, I went on my little app and I found out $36,000 in 1961 would have been the equivalent today, I'm doing math here, right around $300,000.
That's no pocket change.
Yeah, $300,000. He writes checks to all these charities, and this is at a time throughout Elvis's career when he always paid
the max
max income tax.
Yes.
No deductions, no
nothing.
Just I made this, I'm paying. His income taxes must have been one page.
His income taxes literally at various times throughout his career could easily have been $500,000.
Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, it's just his generosity. There's no end to it. In 1961. The Pearl Harbor benefit to help finish raising money and bringing awareness to the memorial at Pearl Harbor, the USS Arizona Memorial. Elvis sold tickets. Of course, all the money went to benefit the charity.
Yeah.
Here's a floor ticket for the show. The floor tickets were $100 each. And there were no free tickets. Everyone had to donate to be able to come to the show. And of course, it was a sellout. We have an official press pass as well for the USS Arizona benefit.
And is this one of those kind of charity shows that Elvis does that he pays the expenses of the musicians and
He paid for everything.
to get there to then begin?
Yes.
So 100% goes to the charity.
Goes to the charity.
And Elvis covers them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, by performing this show, not only did he raise the funds that were needed to complete the memorial, but also brought well-due awareness to what they were
Right.
trying to do there.
So the famous Arizona Memorial that we see,
Yes.
that is just part of American history, Elvis helps to raise the funds to complete that memorial.
Yes, he does. And it became a place that he visited every time he was in Hawaii.
Wow, and we know he loved Hawaii.
Yes, so that was quite often.
Now, another photograph here, you have another famous Hollywood person, but has a very deep Memphis connection, is Danny Thomas.
And St. Jude Children's Hospital, which is here in Memphis. And Elvis decided that he wanted to make a big splash, per se, a big donation. And he actually bought the USS Potomac, which was President Roosevelt's presidential yacht.
Wow. Yeah.
And then they offered it to, first it was the March of Dimes, because that was really the campaign that he had worked on last. But the March of Dimes had no way of monetizing a boat. So they passed. And then Elvis and his actually neighbor in Beverly Hills, Danny Thomas, got together, and Danny realized that not only was it about the money with the boat, but it was the publicity that this donation brings to his cause.
That's
and the
valuable,
fact that it's here in Memphis, how much more that meant to both Elvis and to him. So the story goes, the yacht gets parked in Long Beach, and it's in really awful shape. And so Colonel gets a price on what it's going to cost to paint the boat. Now, this is typical Colonel. He gets one price to paint the whole boat.
I've always heard this. This is true.
This is true.
What you're about to say is true.
It is a true story. He gets a price to paint the whole boat. And of course, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
And so Colonel goes, how much would it cost just to paint the side that faces the press? Voila.
Colonel Parker. Yes.
So he painted half the boat, but then of course Danny and Elvis appear in front of the banner for St. Jude Hospital. There's a big press conference, a signing over the deed, a changing of the keys, and immediately St. Jude sells the yacht for right around, if I'm not mistaken, it's around $75,000. And of course that money went straight to the hospital, but then of course the money and publicity was priceless.
Even more valuable, yeah. Now you have another, I'm going to make sure that I don't leave any marks on the case as we move over to this other case. And this is, everybody knows Elvis Aloha from Hawaii.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't realize that as they watch that was actually something that was done for charity. Elvis even mentions toward the end that it was done for a charity there in Hawaii.
Yes, it was all wrapped around raising money for the Kuili Cancer Fund. When Elvis sings "I'll Remember You," it was actually a song that was written by Kuili. So this was something that was very important to Elvis. Obviously, it was the first satellite show ever broadcast. So it was seen by 1.5 billion people. But it was important to Elvis that everyone knew what the cause was about. And there was no set ticket price. You could donate anything you had in your pocket. So you could pay $5 and you would have gotten a ticket to go to the show. Now you might have been up a little high, but you would have gotten $5, just to be in the building.
So I had $5 in '73. I just couldn't get to Hawaii.
So Elvis started the donations by issuing this check for $1,000, buying his own ticket.
And I ran the numbers on that as well. All right, so Elvis donates $1,000. Now, what that equals to in today's dollars is $5,800. So Elvis pays almost $6,000
to go to his own show.
To go to his own show.
And that was just the beginning. Of course, this was another opportunity that Elvis paid for everything up front. He paid for all the bands, accommodations, airfare, everything. So all the money that was raised at the show for the tickets went totally for charity. And if you remember during the special, Elvis thanks everyone for their donations because it ended up totaling around $75,000 for cancer research.
$75,000 in 1973.
In 1973.
I'm going to let you do that computation and figure out what that is today. There's a homework for you after this. Now, other things that we have here, and we used to see this in the trophy building over at the mansion, and now you've got them on display here, and it's so interesting to see. You said this is from 1962, and this is just a few of the checks that Elvis wrote for charities. So would he go to Vernon's office and sit and how did this happen?
As you can tell, they're all pre-typed. So the secretaries would actually type them up, and then Elvis literally, there's a sofa in Vernon's office. He would sit in the corner of the sofa, and he would then sign them. The only time that he actually signed them outside of Graceland, the mayor of Memphis at the time thought that Elvis deserved recognition for all of his charitable work he did here in town. And so he had Elvis come downtown and they presented him the large plaque that's in the trophy building.
Right.
And he actually that year signed all the checks in person downtown and personally gave them to each charity that was represented.
So averaged around 50 checks a year.
About $50,000 a year, yes.
Not just local, but all kinds of charities.
All kinds of charities, yes.
Now you've got something very special here in the spirit of Elvis, because Elvis was a giver, as we've been talking about. You guys have come up with a brilliant thing for Elvis fans from all over the world to do when they're here, as they get inspired by Elvis and his giving, and it's the opportunity for themselves to give.
Yes, the 4 iPads that are here in the exhibition allow our guests to donate to St. Jude, which of course here in Memphis, the National Civil Rights Museum here in Memphis.
Right here in Memphis.
Boys and Girls Club, and the Elvis Presley Charitable Foundation. But as you know, Elvis gave to so many different charities. We want to keep that spirit alive, so these charities will change throughout the years or months, so you never know what charities that we will have the opportunity to donate to. But right now it's those 4. Next time it might be something different, just to keep Elvis' spirit alive.
The important thing is the giving, is for Elvis fans to represent their love of Elvis by themselves giving, no matter where they do it.
No matter where they do it. If they do it here or in their hometown. That's one thing that's great about the current fan clubs that are, part of the Elvis Presley world. They hold several benefits all around the world, and all the money raised is always donated to either a local charity or a charity that Elvis loves. So they're continuing to do Elvis's work as well.
It comes full circle. Elvis gave, so now it's up to us to do the same.
Yes.
So many great things to see here. Another episode of Gates of Graceland coming to a close now, but I'm sure we have some cool stuff planned for you in the future. They never tell me what they're going to do. I never know what we're going to see.
Next one we have some white gloves, maybe?
Ooh, that would be good. There's always white gloves involved. We know that's going to be good. Angie Marchese from Graceland. I'm Tom Brown. Thanks for watching another episode of Gates of Graceland. And be sure to go check out some of the other episodes that are on there. We've got a lot of cool stuff.
Just a few.
We'll see you around.
Bye.